Shalom, welcome to Out of Africa Torah Session. My name is Tatra Cohen, and this week we are on Parashat Toldot history, coming from the book of Genesis 25 all the way to 28. I always like to read briefly, and I'll start from verse 21 of the 25th chapter in a complete Jewish Bible. Yitzchak prayed to Adonai on behalf of his wife because she was childless. Adonai heeded his prayer and Rivka became pregnant. The children fought with each other inside her so much that she said, "If it's going to be like this, why go on living?" So she went to inquire of Adonai, who answered her, "There are two nations in your womb. From birth there will be two rival peoples. One of these peoples will be stronger than the other, and the older will save the younger." Very interesting response. At least she found some answer. Good thing when you go to the Lord with your issues, you inquire from Him. He's not a deaf God, so He always get back and respond. What a great God we serve. This is, of course, a very huge story we find in this Parashat Toldot. But today, allow me to focus and narrow in the concept found in this narrative known among our people as Yetzar Tov and Yetzar Hara, the good and the bad inclination, or the good and the evil inclination, supposedly the inner struggle, if you will, or the war within, as Rav Shaul tells us from the letter to Keilat Rome in the book of Romans chapter 7, especially from verse 19 to 25. If I'm paraphrasing, he would say, "Why don't do the good which I want to? Instead, the evil that I don't want is what I do." It's like this is really a big struggle, but it's also in a paradox. Allow me to read a little further from the same 25th chapter. I'm reading of Genesis 27, verse 27 says, "The boys grew and Esau became a skillful hunter and an outdoor man, while Yaakov was a quiet man who stayed in the tents. Yitzchak favored Esau because he had a taste for the game. Rivka favored Yaakov. Why? We don't know." Wow, sad truth indeed, isn't it? I think it's always safe to know why the people love you, especially people around you, why they love you, why they are so attached to you. And do they really love me, or they love the game which I bring, like Isaac did to Esau, or they love you for who you are, as Rivka loved Yaakov? We are not told the reason why Rivka favored Yaakov, but we are told the reason why Esau was loved by Isaac is because of something which he used to do. Have you ever wondered the main job of a hunter? In this context, we're talking of Esau. A hunter, well, there is no doubt the hunter is known to kill animals, kill game, and so forth. Now, the lives of these two boys took a spiritual meaning, much so as they grow to the point that in their growing, they each perfected his art, his inclination, whether good or evil. As it is said, with time, you become good at what you do. The same is also with the two boys being mentioned here as a depiction of good and evil, Yetzar Hara and Yetzar Tov, the good inclination and the evil inclination. We also see that with Yaakov, his appetite for blood increased over time. He perfected, he became like what the word says, he became a skillful hunter. He perfected the art. I know many of you would justify that and say, well, you can choose your sport or your hobby or do anything that you love, like fishing and probably swimming, sportsman, many things you could do out there. But mind you, this was not just hunting. It was a depiction of something that was really bad, not just a hobby. Sadly, the one who had this kind of mind, Esau, continued to feed his carnal mindset until he was much evil, to the point that even the parents were no longer happy with their son. You remember that point when they sent Yaakov away to Laban? They didn't want him to become like his other brother, saying like getting the women from the Ishmaelites, and it's more like making it worse. And we see also that Esau, through hunting, made sure that he not only hunt or kill animals, he ended up hunting people, assassinating people. Remember who ambushed the Yaakov, or the children of Israel, as a community when they came from Mitzrayim, from Egypt in the Exodus. You all know the story of the Exodus, how Edom staged an assassin to ambush the people of Adonai. It's not something that started then. It's something that had been there from the time they were in the womb. The problem was he succumbed to it, he nurtured it, and he fed on this appetite for blood. Meanwhile, Yaakov perfected his heart, his good inclination, by being a quiet man who stayed in tents. We could talk about these tents of Shem and Eva, his great parents sometime. The tents were more like a Beit Midrash, the house of stud, where you go and stud on the things of the Lord. And mind you, he was young, and he also, through this staying in the tents, discovered his mission on earth. Like the more you get closer to God, the more you would immerse yourself in the things of the Lord, the more He's going to speak into your life, and thus you would discover your destiny. And he understood, the young Yaakov understood, that his mission on earth was not like for his brother to hunt, to hate, to kill, to destroy, but to build and preserve life, or to see the value of life. Like today you see among the Jewish people how life is seen as the most valuable thing. And this is really a familiar statement, if you recall the words of our Messiah, who says, I have come that they may have life, and when they do, they should have it in abundance. The Messiah himself said, and that's exactly what we see, the preservation of life, as Yaakov demonstrate in his staying or in the tents, and also being a quiet man, or a peace-loving man, like it's a tzaddik. With that said, you then have a two choice, like the two lives of these men who were presented or given to us as an example of good and evil, which leaves you and I with a choice, whether you will choose to nurture the Yetzar Tov, the good inclination, or you are going to nurture the Yetzar Ra, the bad or the evil inclination. The choice remains yours. Mind you, the Torah, or the Word of God, tells us from Galatians chapter 6, I think from verse 7, says, be not be deceived, because God is not mocked. For whosoever or whatsoever a man sows, that he also reaps. Like if you incline to this inclination, you will become that. If you incline to the evil inclination, eventually you become that. In other words, whatever you are feeding shall come to light. It may be good, it may be a blessing, it may be a curse. But when it does, really it will be time for sowing. You want to be a murderer, you want to be a hunter, keep hunting, be like yourself. If that is your choice, isn't it amazing that God always gives us a choice? You want to be a tzaddik, man who stays quiet and lives well with others. Stay in the tents, start the Torah, dive in deep. You may not see the result as yet, but guess what? It pays to do good. Nurture that good inclination within, maybe a little thing, but eventually it grows until it becomes a good thing. That little good in you, tell you what, it has the capacity and the power to even save the entire earth. Thank you.